County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Steve Carrianen. Here. Kay Wilson. Tweed Schuman. Stacy Hessel. Randy Newman.
Here.
Mark Helwig. Thomas Duffy. Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
Online. Jim Evans.
Here.
Chuck Van Netten.
Here.
Jeff Haney. John Righeimer.
Here.
Ron Kinsley.
Sure.
Ron Buckholz.
Present.
Dale Magnuson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Let the record indicate we have a quorum. We have a distinguished honored guest tonight, Mr. Burotek, our sheriff.
Good evening. I just want to mention the second week of April is Telecommunications Week, honoring our dispatchers. The Sawyer County dispatchers dispatch all law enforcement, EMS, and fire services throughout Sawyer County. And the first full week of May is Corrections Officer Week, honoring our jailers. And this week is Police Memorial Week, honoring all law enforcement officers, certified officers nationally. These are all national, as well as our fallen officers. And on the 15th is always the National Memorial Service in Washington, D.C., adding the names to those who have fallen to the National Memorial. So with that, if everybody would stand and join me as I lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Number 4, certification compliance to open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and the public as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 5 is the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 6, public comment. Anybody wishing to speak to the board may speak. We ask you to try to stay within 3 minutes, state your name and address. We also only allow a half hour total. We have quite a few, so let's see if we can keep it moving along. We'll start with Susan Moe.
Hello, County Supervisors and Chairman.
State your name and address, please.
Sure, my name is Suzanne Mao, and I have spent, over a year working on the Sealy Forest Trail, which is a project that's on the agenda tonight. And you'll be hearing a lot more about it, of course. And the key thing to know about the project is that it expands access for a large audience to enjoy the forest that is doesn't necessarily have access today, despite the trails that we have. So just 2 things real quickly that I wanted to point out to you is, as we've gotten to know what you do as supervisors and the number of committees you're on, we know your time is extremely valuable. One of the items we emailed to you is it's a summary of all the public support. Much of the public support for the project came in to the committee. So it started around February. And of course, there have been some additional emails, and just as as we arrived tonight, there were some additional emails that were sent to you as well. So there's a significant amount of public support is what I'm trying to say. It crosses a number of community grants that we've received. There are groups, there's nonprofits, there are clubs that are part of this. There are individual comments that were emailed. We had an information session that was very well attended on April 26th. And as you can tell, there are many, many letters, and you'll hear additional comments. Lastly, one of the pieces that we handed out to you in your handout speaks to 2 documents. And I wanted to point these out. I won't read them. The 2 documents are the Sawyer County Comprehensive Plan. Just wanted to point out that this project meets a number of the objectives that are in there. It's an amazing document. I think those of you who have your names on the front of that document and have assembled all that great information. The second document I would point you to is the outdoor recreation plan that the county has available for public view. The project meets 7 of the 9 objectives, and all we did here is pull out 4 that are really at the heart of our project. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Walzak.
Hello, good evening. I am Stan Walzek, and I'm grateful to be here.
Give us your address, please.
13402 North White Pine Lane. I'm out of Sealy. I'd like to see this project go forward. I think it's very inclusive of all people who live in this county. I do not take issue with any issues that might come from some other groups about meeting on the trails at intersections or even on the same trail. There are a number of places in our county where both wheeled traffic and bikes and hikers and walkers do share. And lately it's been kind of dusty out there, mostly because we haven't had a lot of rain. Hopefully this will help. So it's not a hardship for me to see that others have the same rights as I do when using our public lands. And I am in favor of seeing this proposal go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Sentry.
My name is Carolyn Senti. I live at 13402 White Pine Lane in Sealy. And I'm here to support the Sealy Forest Trail proposal. I feel like this is a much needed resource in our community here that would provide recreational opportunities for families, an aging population, and the casual, non-competitive athlete. There's many of us that are in the 60, 70, 80-year-old age group that no longer can tackle some of the more difficult trails we have locally. So I think this would be a kind of trail that's been missing in our areas. So we do need this. The outdoor recreation plan for Sawyer County has an objective to have a recreation like this, and the trail would meet those needs that are listed. Objections we've heard about having to slow down for ATVs or snowmobiles, to me seems a bit frivolous when there are dozens of places where they probably have to cross driveways and roads and other trails where they have to slow down. They don't even need to really stop, just to slow to make sure there's no traffic. Objecting to just 2 crossings and over 500 miles of trails seems laughable. They're only being asked to slow down if a pedestrian or cyclist is present, and not being told that they have to actually stop. Rerouting the Sealy Forest Trail is not really an option because of the terrain and private property restrictions. So we need to keep the trail relatively flat to accommodate all these users that we're trying to please. So it's hard to believe that just 2 crossings where the motorized vehicle would have the right of way would be such a hardship, and that we should prevent the expansion of this recreational access to the forest lands in Sawyer County, especially for the casual or aging users and families with children who have no other options currently to enjoy nature in the forest on easy trails. So I support the Sealy Forest Trail proposal and ask for your approval of this much needed outdoor recreational opportunity for many users. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Conger.
Good evening. My name's Bill Conger. I live at 12055 North Wheelan Drive, Hayward. I'm in support of the Sealy Forest Trails project. I enjoy hiking, skiing, and biking. And at first glance, it seems like there's plenty of opportunities for me to do that. But last November, I had open heart surgery, and biking and skiing were not options for recuperation. And walking on roadways doesn't really rejuvenate the soul. So having a relatively level path through the beautiful woods certainly would have added to my enjoyment during recuperation. Like most of you, I get older every year, but my desire to recreate in the woods just grows stronger. And I believe this trail system would be a valuable addition to our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Don Marotek.
Don Marotek, 10594 Kansas Avenue, Hayward. We'd like to thank you, county board members here, for opening up all of our county highways to ATV use. It's much appreciated. Most of the counties in the state have opened up most of their, or all of their county highways. And by having ours, it helps a lot. I'm not aware of any issues that have been brought up because of our highways all being opened. I think it's been a great benefit to the county for both law enforcement, makes it a little bit easier for them knowing which roads are open and what's not, and also for the user group so that they know that the roads are all open. So with that being said, I'm hoping that you'll approve keeping them all open for the continuing years, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Debbie, yeah, on Red Birch.
sure.
Thank you.
Good evening, Debbie Detzner, 13432N Red Birch Road in Sealy. Good evening to all of you and thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak tonight. I am here to represent the people with physical challenges, the older generation families, and those who have had to change their lifestyles. 4 years ago, my life changed due to an autoimmune disease. The trails I used to ride were no longer feasible. It's extremely hard when you can no longer participate. With this new trail, people like me can now participate and say, look at what I can do, instead of look at what I can no longer do. Families can ride, hike, ski together, or one parent can train on the trails and the other parent can take the children on these new Sealy trails. This would encourage those training to bring their families to Hayward and boost our economy. This is an area that encourages hiking, biking, skiing. So why would we not support a trail that would benefit so many people? No one group owns the land they use for their trails. I find it hard to believe that we cannot work together for the better of our community. Those opposing this trail should step forward instead of trying to convince people to oppose the trail. If you oppose this trail, please talk to the trail committee. Let's not divide the different organizations or try to get people to take sides. Working together, we can accomplish great things. Our trail systems must not be a resource only for the elite athletes, but one for all levels, to bring people from all ages and groups into our area. Many of our neighbors in Hayward, Sealy, and Cable have businesses that rely on visitors who spend their dollars on recreational activities. They cannot survive on the business of only some of the groups. They need all of us. There is a sign at our favorite bar and restaurant in Sealy that says, "All wheels welcome here." This means people who ride in trucks, cars, ATVs, and bikes are welcomed and allowed. I would like to close with a favorite quote of mine. Die with memories, not with dreams. I would like to have memories of riding this trail and feeling good about myself. Many people would feel they have accomplished an activity and continue to enjoy our beautiful area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jeannie Everson.
Good evening. My name is Janine Evanson, 12912N Peterson Road, Hayward. We all know that Sawyer County has hundreds of miles of trails for skiers, snowmobilers, hikers, bikers, and ATV users. I'm lucky enough to be healthy enough to use these existing trails, and the trails are helping me stay healthy. They are a huge part of my life, physically, socially, and mentally. I'm grateful for our world-class trails, for those that had the foresight to make them possible, and those that maintain them. We are really lucky. But there's a segment of our population that is not being served. They can't share in our beautiful forests like we do. That's the elderly and other people who are not as physically able. All types of people should have the opportunity to use our natural areas. I'd like them to feel the same enjoyment and excitement that I do. This new, more inclusive trail would be a great addition to our community and would help achieve that. This is a well thought out and researched proposal that would benefit many. I'm strongly in favor of the Sealy Forest Trail project, and I hope you will approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Everson.
Charlie Evanson, 12912 North Peterson Road. I'd just like to say I'm in favor of this proposal because of its inclusive nature. And I just believe it's a way for people to get out and enjoy the county forest, which everyone should have a chance to do because we have great lands out there to enjoy. So, thank you.
Thank you. John Mattson.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. John Mattson, 13487 Red Birch Road in Sealy. I'm here asking your support and endorsement for this Sealy Trail. It fills a void for those who have a lesser skill set, such as the young and the aging, and also the physically disabled. It's compatible with the existing ATV, Canva, and Berkey trail systems. However, it offers a unique, inclusive, and expansive outdoor access for folks of all abilities. Due to the shared family skill set that we have in my family, we routinely access the gravel and ATV trails for family bike rides. The expansion of this proposed trail would make it much safer for bikers and ATVers as well, as we would move off some of these ATV trails and onto this trail. In fact, I was just out yesterday on Trail 77, and if I would have had this trail that's proposed, I wouldn't have been on 77. We currently take full advantage of the existing 5-mile trail that is for the winter, getting out and enjoying that. This would be a welcome expanse in scope and length. Your support is an endorsement for inclusion of all. Thank you, and please give this proposal your full consideration.
Thank you. Karen Bosley.
Hi, I'm Karen Rosen. My address is 12766 Tall Oaks Lane in Sealy. And I'm in support of this trail. I'm asking for your approval and support as well. A lot has been said already that I was going to say, so I won't repeat that, but in general, I love the idea of this trail because of the inclusiveness. Every year we have our kids and grandkids come to visit us, and we always find ourselves in a dilemma because only a few people can ride or hike or ski the existing trails, and the little ones or the ones that are not as hardcore are left at home or walk the roads or something like that, which just isn't as fun. And so I just really would welcome this trail so that everyone can enjoy the forest here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bobby, I don't know what your last name is on Murphy Road.
Bobby Hewitt.
Thank you.
My address is 10435 W Murphy Boulevard. And I know some of you folks on this board, and I thank you for being here and listening. I won't repeat what you've heard from so many. I'm 82 years old. I can no longer do Gravity Cavity and Candyland on the Canva trails. They're quite risky. I've broken ribs, I've broken my sternum, and I'm not going to take that kind of risk again. So a gravel trail that's fairly easy is absolutely just what I need, as do so many people that I know my age. We are all so lucky to still be mobile. Tom Duffy, you are one of them. I want to speak for the Wisconsin Bike Federation. One of the latest things that they are now continuing to promote is gravel rides. We just had one up here, the Hungry Bear, 100 miler, 60 or 30 for the less brave. They now have 13 more that they will be having in this state of gravel rides. It is becoming the thing to do to get people off of the pavement, to get people off of the riskier trails if you happen to have some of the issues that many of us do as we age. So I'm encouraging each and every one of you to consider that this economy depends on all of us of all ages. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Kathy LaRue.
Kathy LaRue, 16201 Jolly Fisherman Road in Hayward. For those of you that don't know me, some of the newer members, I am the Alliance Secretary. I am also the AWSC Director for Sawyer County. I'm on the AWSC Legislative Committee, which works statewide on issues such as this as far as snowmobiling goes. I'm on the NORTAC Committee and the Hayward Lakes Committee. My entire time is spent promoting and managing motorsports within Sawyer County and outside of Sawyer County. The plan, the Sealy Hills Trail Plan, it is a great concept. We need this. It's a beautiful concept. I have walked the hospital trails myself. As you can tell, I'm not in the best shape. It is in a bad location. It's just simply a bad location. It encroaches on our trail system, and I know that you're all talking about only 2 crossings, but what you don't realize, we only have 3 main trails throughout Sealy Hills that are used for snowmobiling and ATVing. 2 of those trails are corridors that connect multiple counties across the entire state. When people get to our little block of trail systems, we have a plethora of stops and caution areas. The Berkey Trail, it's numerous. It greatly affects our riding experience. These 2 trail crossings we don't want them, but my concern is phase 2 and 3, I think each have 4 trail crossings. If we keep adding trail crossings and cautions to our system, riders are going to go somewhere else to ride. We can't afford to lose motorized sports in Sawyer County. They bring so many dollars into this community. So the other thing I wanted to mention is just recently I received an email, without naming names, with a thinly veiled threat to hold hostage our trails within a township, possibly more, unless we support this effort. And I can tell you right now that the Alliance is not going to be strong-armed into approving and supporting any trail system that negatively affects our sports. Especially when there are so many options to correct it, modify the map, or simply move the entire trail system to a different area in the forest where you wouldn't be encroaching on any of our trails. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Ms. Linda Zomer.
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner, and it's really nice to see how people can turn out for something they believe in and have done a lot of work on. A little over a year ago, it was the motorized sports group that was here demanding that all the county highways be opened as road routes. Those of us who travel the county highways have had to make all kinds of accommodations for the motorized ATV, UTV use of county highways, and to then hear that that they have an issue with a couple of trail crossings is really hard to hear. But going back to seeing turnout of people coming to help ask for your decision on something that they care about, I'm thinking about the process that you are all going through right now with hiring another administrator. This will be the third one. And I think about how this county board has changed going to the administrator form of government. And recently, there have been a number of instances where there have been absences by county supervisors, and life can happen. But in other counties, they have a requirement that if you're going to be absent, you have to notify people ahead of time and you're marked as excused. And that helps prevent problems like lack of a quorum. Unexcused absences, I know in Washburn County, they've removed 2 supervisors who were not showing up at meetings. But at the same time, if I was a county board supervisor here, I would wonder, why would I want to attend meetings? Because so much has been turned over to a county administrator. Many decisions get made that aren't being made at the committee of jurisdiction. Sometimes items come to the administrative committee instead of through the committee of jurisdiction, and they are decided to move forward to this board only a week before the county board meeting. So if you want to have engaged supervisors representing all kinds of interests, I think the county board supervisors need to have more of a role. And when you choose the administrator candidates, I think all supervisors should be involved and not just a few select ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody online? No, thank you. Number 7, consider approving the minutes of the previous meeting, which was April 15th. Motion by Mr. Duffy, second by Mr. Hellwig to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 8, zoning administration report. Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The zoning committee will hold its monthly public hearing tomorrow at 8:30. At last month's meeting, committee heard 12 conditional use permits, which one was postponed for tomorrow, and 2 megawatt solar facility request was withdrawn. The rest was approved. The multi-dwelling development ad hoc committee has conducted their 6th meeting and are currently reviewing the draft version of 5 amendments. These proposed amendments will be sent to legal counsel for review next week. The zoning department remains extremely busy with land use permits. Numbers just below the same times last year, up 40 permits over the same time in 2023. Additional staff person with the zoning department is helping out tremendously. With this additional position, zoning staff is able to focus more on aspects of the enforcement. That ends my report.
Thank you. Number 9, Public Works Committee report. Mr. Hellwig.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, start with maintenance. The courthouse, in addition to routine building maintenance and repairs, staff responded to and completed 27 service requests, 31 reactive work orders, and 3 preventive work orders in the past 30 days. 8 aging and disability resource offices and the large conference room at the Oasis building have had carpeting installed. The construction phase for the child support area offices is almost done. They have started painting walls in the 1962 portion of the courthouse to match the color scheme used in the new courthouse addition. Now that remodeling projects are wrapping up, they are planning to start replacing the older heat pumps in the 1995 edition of the courthouse again. After experiencing weather delays, the new roof being installed on the 1975 portion of the Sheriff's Department / jail should be completed on May 1st. Airport runway was shut down on May 5th. They've been having meetings almost daily to gear up for the construction. Everything's looking favorable to meet or exceed the project schedules. Mr. Leslie has been meeting with towns Hayward road crew prior to project to discuss haul routes and existing conditions of the town's road. Airport manager met with Haas on site again on 4/29 to discuss equipment being positioned to the airport this week before construction. Highway Department has moved one piece of equipment out to the airport to do some brushing. Mr. Leslie met with Andy and Mike before the administrator left. They debriefed as much as they could before all the ongoing issues, and he's working with Mike to continue. Highway crews have been out crack sealing, patching on state county highway roads. They also have crack sealing to complete for the town of Meadowbrook and Sandley. They have started the process of reclaiming shoulders on State Highway 70. Once state is complete, the crew will move to our county system. Crews have been replacing multiple damaged guardrails throughout the county. Crews replaced the culvert on County W in preparation for upcoming construction project. Pavement replacement start in May. Excuse me, road bans were lifted on May 21st. There will be CC Bridge replacement project start mid-June. The bridge will be closed during construction. Waterway markers were signed, and that's all I'm going to say at this time.
Thank you. This time we have the hangar lease renewal for the McCain hangars.
This request is coming from John and Virginia McCain. They have set up a trust. They wish to put the hangar lease in the trust. I talked with Mr. Leslie. They have been good lessees of the hangar. They use it for its intended purpose, and he recommends switching it. It's not a change in ownership, it's a change of structure.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of the lease agreement in the name of John D. McCain and Virginia J. McCain to the John D. McCain Revocable Trust.
I second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Evans, second by Mr. Howie to approve the change. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Letter B is ATV, UTV routes. But before we do that, we have our highway commissioner here tonight. He wants us to give us a brief update.
Good evening. I just want to take this opportunity. I provided you with a packet of overview of the highway department in 2024. If you get a chance, look through it. A lot of work has been accomplished over the past 2 years. And with the budget process starting soon, I would like to invite all you for a road tour along with a visit to all 3 of our facilities in the county. I feel it's important not only to the highway employees, but also to the public that the county board has the opportunity to see what accomplishments and constraints we face throughout the county. I feel this will also be helpful understanding the highway budget when presented. With this being said, I'm open to suggestions on the road tour when you guys would like to do it or have any thoughts or questions or comments.
One of the comment I have is if there is a tour, they gotta go on that really nasty road.
Which one?
Well, there's a road that is, I don't know how anybody can be on it. Remember that one?
48?
Yeah.
Yes, we can do that. Any other questions or comments or?
Do we just call you to set up an appointment for that or?
Yeah, I know a lot of you work during the day. I mean, it would be a long tour because I have a lot I would like to show you guys. We've done a lot in the last 2 years, so I don't know if it's something available to do during the day or if it's gonna be a night or I can.
How long, when you say long, how long?
I would probably say at least 4 hours.
In the past, if I may add, the Public Works Committee has taken tours with the highway commissioner, and we go over roads that they're gonna do work on and roads that they haven't done work on. He would like to ask if the whole county board would want to do that. Yeah, and I'm not sure how to do that, but I'm open for suggestions. He's open for suggestions. If we get enough people that say they would like to do that, we'll certainly try to set something up. Yes.
Could we all ride the Sawyer County Transit so then we can view the Sawyer County Transit to all these places?
Potentially, yes.
All right. Sawyer County, is it Namacoggin Transit? Sorry.
You have more to say?
Hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Letter B, approve the ATV, UTV routes, discussion possible action. Mr. Mullins.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the ATV routes as designated.
Second.
I think you have multiple,
Mr. Van Netten. Yeah. Thank you, second. Thank you. So we have a motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Van Netten. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. No. One recorded, please. Thank you. Number 10, Public Safety Committee report, Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety met on May 1st. Circuit Court, there was no report. I was wondering why we have not been getting a report from the judges, and my understanding is that the two are very busy at this time. Clerk of Courts report, the clerk position has been filled. The city and small claims and probate position is still open. Sheriff's Department patrol report, a written report was reviewed by Lieutenant Rapinski. Calls have increased with 680 received in April, and there has been 80 crashes to date with 1 fatality at the time of the report. Jail report, sheriff gave a report on ongoing social media situations with Judge Isham's statement. Hayward City and State Patrol officers are on standby for a public assemblies and march to the courthouse planned for that day. A written jail report for April was reviewed by the sheriff, and there are 59 inmates incarcerated with a 78% unemployment rate. Code enforcement, a written and verbal report was provided by Chaz Ann, conducted the rabies clinic with Leading Edge, and that was very successful. Emergency Management Director Rapinski reports that the National Telecommunication Week events and training. Dispatch calls are up since the time in 2024. The LEPC meeting was held at the Enbridge facility. Towns are working on emergency management plans, and 10 people attended the Skywarn spotter. There was a written report by a child support. Emergency services, Mr. Fremmel presented a report showing average run times per town, and will provide that report 3 times a year going forward. The department is fully staffed following unexpected death of a paramedic recruit, and Mr. Fremmel plans to address the mental health support for the department staff. An EMR course will be offered soon. Mr. Fremmel has been working with Dana on innovation planning grant for the EMS and fire. May 31st is the deadline for the towns participating. The medical examiner report, 29 cases are being tracked. Toxicology results have been delayed due to issues with the state lab. Fentanyl found in blood work appears to be declining. Mr. Fremmel credited the fentanyl awareness forever joy program for having positive effect in the county. And the Criminal Justice Council, Mr. Markgren reported that the CJCC meeting highlights the vaping survey results. 47% of the children ages 11 through 13 have tried vaping, and peer pressure is the main reason. Dave Dixon gave a presentation at the Timber Bay Outreach Program for the Risk Youth. CJC will be organizing the executive committee to distribute workloads. The LCO, SC, CJCC MOU will be reviewed by the Tribal Governing Board on Monday. That ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Number 11, Land, Water, Forestry, Mr. Steve Perrion.
Thank you, Chairman. This is the Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee report for May 7th. Written reports were provided to the committee by the Register of Deeds Office and by the Land Records and County Surveyor Department.
Yeah, they just scored and now they just have to go off.
Forestry reports by Greg Peterson noted 6 active timber sales, 5 sales closed out in April, and current to sold and uncut timber value is over $3.8 million. The committee reviewed and approved without negative vote a proposed land trade of a Sawyer County 80-acre in-rim parcel for a private 38-acre parcel plus $117,444.66. Bids were received on 20 of 22 tracts offered in the spring timber sale, which the committee unanimously approved. Value of the timber sold was more than $1.4 million. The committee heard public comments on the Sealy Forest Trail proposal, and further information was provided by Mr. Mao regarding the projects. Issues including trail crossings, conflicting use by different groups, construction, maintenance, and signage of the trail, who would be served by the trail, were discussed by the committee. Mr. Peterson does not recommend developing the trail in that location due to density or use density, the terrain, topography, soil composition, forestry staffing limitations, timber sale conflicts, and potential liability to the county if the trail is promoted as ADA compliant. After lengthy discussion, the committee voted 3-2 to approve the Sealy Forest Trail project. Brody Fisher gave the DNR report, noting that a new DNR rep will report next month. Mr. Davison gave the motorized trail report, noting that since 2020, the Trails Alliance has put $2 million into the county's trail system. Mr. Kozlowski's zoning and conservation report included staff training, the tree sale, dam checks, non-metallic mining inspections, and summer camp. He also noted the Billy Boy Dam, a Whitefish Lake petition was submitted to the DNR to raise the water level 6 inches, and that would require a public hearing to proceed. Drought is affecting the low water level, and the minimum base level must be maintained. Treasurer Brian Lehner presented a list of properties the county has in tax foreclosure process. Statute requires the first listing to be at the appraised value. If a property fails to sell at the first listed price, a lower price may be set by vote of the committee. Mr. Lehner provided a spreadsheet with the parcels and Novus values with suggested prices if they fail to sell in the first round and need to be listed again. Committee unanimously approved the first listing of the parcels at Novus values. The owner of tax ID number 44390 wishes to grant ownership to Sawyer County and pay $100 toward the recording costs. Committee reviewed and unanimously approved the acquisition of the underwater parcel in Nelson Lake. And the Land, Water, and Forest Resource Management Plan review started on May 12th. That's the committee report.
Thank you.
Item B, Sealy Forest Trails.
Letter B, Sealy Forest Trails. We have a presentation from Mo's. It'll be about 15 minutes. They would like to present that.
Chairman, thank you. My name is Montgomery Mao, and I'm here today to present a much-needed trail concept for our area. But before we move any further, I I want to address the question about ADA liability that came up at the committee. And because, we have spoken about meeting the needs of some people with disabilities, and that created a concern about liability to the county. So when we're talking about the group that we want to serve, we're really talking about people, more of an adaptive, friendly trail, which I'll explain a little bit more as the presentation goes on. So if we can move forward. There we go. So our agenda, we're gonna start by talking about the target audience and why there's a need for a trail like this. And then we'll walk through the trail map, an overview of the design and how it'll be maintained. And we'll address some of the concerns that we've heard. So who's the target audience? Outdoor participation is growing, and which is good. Means people are getting out and they're trying to be more active. That growth is actually being driven mostly by a group called the casual participant. And this is data that came from the Outdoor Industry Association, and they focus primarily on human-powered activities. So the outdoor participant is actually 40% of all, or the casual participant is actually 40% of all outdoor participants. And they're slightly more than half are women. And as you would expect, many of them are 55 years and older. One interesting group that you wouldn't necessarily expect is the under 24-year-olds. So younger participants are actually being more casual about their outdoor activities than people who are a little bit older. They're not interested in high-tech gear. They don't care about improving outdoor skills, winning races, setting their Strava records, anything like that. They just simply want to get outside, spend time with family and friends, build community, boost their mental health, just enjoy, just basically connect with nature. And so if we move forward, so why don't our existing trails meet the needs of this group? We can move forward. So we're all familiar with the world-class trails we have around here. So we've got the Berkey Trail, we've got fantastic skiing, and we have our purpose-built single-track mountain bike trails, which actually draw people from a large radius who come here to ride. So our ski trails in the wintertime, they're limited to skiing only. You don't walk on them, you don't snowshoe on them, you don't ride a bike on them, you ski on them, and you don't have a pet on them with very few exceptions. And in the summertime, they basically go unused. And people don't like the grassy surface. And if you've ever had Lyme disease or another tick-borne illness, you'll understand why people don't like the grassy surface. And so they go unused. And then we've got our very well-designed, purpose-built, single-track mountain bike trails. And these have a very specific purpose. They want to entertain people on bikes. And those bikes have, they're more advanced bikes. They're more expensive bikes. You need better skills to be able to ride these trails. They're they're built with features in berms, jumps, things like that. Again, to entertain people on mountain bikes. And then our other set of trails, if we can move forward, we have our motorized trails. And 30 years ago, people used those trails for mountain biking before the whole purpose-built single-track craze started. And that was great back then. But since then, there's been growth in both the non-motorized group and there's been growth in the motorized group. And over time, the machines have gotten bigger, the speeds have gotten faster. And so it's just less compatible to mix the motorized with the non-motorized. And so we're trying to give the people who are just looking for more of a casual experience a place to go rather than heading out onto a motorized trail. And in the wintertime, you're limited to snowmobiling only. When the fat biking craze started, people headed right to the snowmobile trails, and it didn't take long to figure out that that was not a good idea. So if we move forward, so the concept of the Sealy Forest Trail is to create an easy year-round multi-use trail that's designed for all abilities. And that's really key. We want to provide an immersion in nature, appeal to all age ranges, varying skill levels, adaptive friendly, pet friendly, and be able to use it for a whole number of silent sports activities, not just a specific activity for a specific trail. We plan to incorporate existing logging corridors so that we minimize our impact on the forest, and we want to highlight some of Sawyer County's heritage. So how did we get here? What inspired this whole idea? So 21 years ago, we built a second home here, and it's trailside. We have ski in, ski out to the Berkey Trail, and we're not alone. There are 300 properties currently that are trailside along the Berkey Trail in Sawyer County. And so we have a neighborhood filled with very, very active people. And over time, what we noticed was, and it started initially in the wintertime. So these are, former elite athletes. We still have some very active elite athletes in our neighborhood. But as people aged, what we noticed, especially in winter first, was they were no longer able to ride on the groomed single track bike trails. And so the idea was hatched to, hey, why don't we just, we'll open up logging roads. There was an old logging road that had been a ski trail for a while, had been essentially abandoned. There had been recent logging in the area. So we got approval to do a winter trail and cleaned it up enough to be able to get grooming equipment through and got people back out on their bikes in the wintertime. What was interesting is we noticed a lot of other people were using it as well. I mean, we didn't limit it. It wasn't a designated mountain biking trail, but we didn't. So we didn't limit how it was used, and we noticed people would be out there in their backcountry cross-country skis, just out kicking around. They're not training. They're just out getting exercise with their dog, just trying to get out into nature. And we saw people snowshoeing, even hiking. We didn't limit it. And we heard that, from so many people, this is great. I mean, we'd love more of this. And hey, rather than park on Janet Road, it'd be really cool if we could just park at the 00 trailhead and access it from there. So that kind of started the whole idea of getting it to the trailhead. And then people, the more we dug into the data, we realized there's a huge underserved group of people that don't have access to summer trails in our area. And so we thought, well, hey, we should make it usable year round. And so here we are. So since 2020, we have been, we've donated hundreds of hours of machine time to maintain, groom, mow, keep the trail operating. So with the expansion in mind, we decided to set up a 501c3 nonprofit, and that is called the Sealy Trails Foundation. So in summertime, we can move forward. We expect a whole variety of activities on the trail, and no single use idea. This is to appeal to a very broad group of people, all ages, all abilities. And in the wintertime, if we move forward, we've already talked about many of the activities that we've seen. We know that will continue. And then we've got the group so the trail would be designed as adaptive friendly. And what that means is, there are people with disabilities who have figured out how to use technology and equipment to get them into more of the able-bodied environments. And so if we build, this has nothing to do with ADA. It's not designated accessible, but if we build the trail with them in mind, it has to be wider, good surface. It'll be a place for them to go that we don't have currently in this area. We want to celebrate Sawyer County's heritage. A lot of people don't know we had a CCC camp in the area just off of Telemark Road called Camp Smith Lake. And so that was the 1930s. And so if you go forward, so there are still remnants of buildings. And so we want to clean that area up, sign it, make it more of a historical site, picnic tables, make it a day trip from the 00 trailhead if you're out hiking, or make it an afternoon picnic ride from the 00 trailhead as well. So the trailhead itself, 25 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago, we used to fill a van with people and make day trips up to train on the Berkey Trail. And where did we go? We went to the 00 trailhead. I mean, so that trailhead has been the epicenter of silent sports in our area for decades. And that hasn't changed. It's only gotten more popular. So at the trailhead itself, we've got the Canva Trail, excuse me, which is over on the left-hand side. And that trailhead is actually the most popular in Canva's system. It's got the most popular trail, which is Sealy Pass. And then in the middle, we'd have the Sealy Forest Trail. It needs its own specific entrance because of the different type of use than the other two trails. The mountain bike trails, have their reason to have a trailhead. The Berkey Trail has, their reason because in the wintertime, they're skiing only. They don't allow pets on the trail. So we have to make sure that there's a very clear entrance because of the different type of uses that we're going to see on the trail. So the map. So I did print out maps for you if you wanted to look at them on the printed version. So if you look on the left-hand side, we've got the dashed red line. That's our existing winter trail. So that's a 5-mile trail. Actually, this is I think you might be looking at this map. So the dashed red line, that's our existing winter trail, and that would be upgraded to year-round use, to a dirt surface for year-round use. And then the solid red line that you see coming out of the 00 trailhead, that would be the new proposed trail, which is roughly 4 miles in length. And if you turn to the second page, I did a zoomed in version just to make it easier to see. So the ATV trail is actually highlighted in yellow, so it's easier to see. That's the trail that goes diagonally through that section of land. So I know they've said they want us to move the trail to some other location. And the challenge with that is, well, first they wanted us to move, just not cross the ATV trail. But if you look at the map between extreme terrain and private land, there and then trying to access the existing trail and connect that up to the trailhead, it's impossible. You can't do that. You can't connect the existing trail without crossing the ATV trail. So that's just, and then there's nowhere to put trail between extreme terrain, private property, and the ATV trail. There's nothing left. So about the two crossings. So when people ride, they don't want to have to slow down, which I understand. So what's different about these crossings than other crossings that we have? So when people ride single track in groups, you always get spread out. You have people who fall off. And so usually what happens is you cross another trail that's wider and people will stop and regroup and wait for the stragglers and then go again. Well, people end up stopping on the ATV trails. And a lot of that's because, we have a lot of people from out of town and they don't even know they're on an ATV trail. They just know they're on something that's wider where they can, group up, stand next to each other, carry on a conversation until everybody's caught up and then they go again. So when they're on that trail, when they're on the ATV trail and somebody comes by, yes, they have to slow down. The difference with our trail is very wide. We're going to have an 8-foot wide, dirt surface. And the people that are on it, they're not going to be the hardcore mountain bikers. They're going to be the casual people out riding their Walmart bike. And there wouldn't be any reason if they're regrouping, if they are with a group and they're waiting for somebody, because it's a wide trail, there's no reason for them to be congregating on the motorized trail because there's plenty of space for them on our trail. And then the other difference will be, we'll have it signed. We'll tell them, you're crossing a motorized trail. Please don't congregate on it. And they'll be asked to stop as well. So if an ATV comes by, people won't be on the trail and they won't be required to slow down. And then if you start at the lower left and look at the yellow line and follow it up to the right, the first trail that you hit is the Berkey Skate Trail, that solid black line. And the next one you hit is the dashed black, that's the Berkey Classic Trail. Now there are stop signs at both of those crossings for the motorized group. But in the summertime, the Berkey Trail isn't used. I mean, there's really no reason to have to stop at the Berkey Trail in the summertime. So why don't we remove the stop signs in the summertime and let them pass through freely? So if we were able to do that, between our trail not really impeding them and removing the stop signs at the Berkey Trail, we can actually provide a better experience. Now, CAMBA did raise some concerns about the non-motorized crossings of the trail. And since the trail expansion doesn't intersect with a CAMBA trail of any kind, we have to assume they're concerned for Berkey. So I mean, that's what we have to assume. Now, in Sawyer County, the CAMBA mountain bike trails cross a Berkey trail 40 times, 40. In Bayfield County, at the North End Trailhead, you've got the Berkey Skate, the Berkey Classic. You have the North End ski trails that wind around all over, and they include skate trails, classic only trails. And then you have a CAMBA mountain bike trail that encircles that whole thing. So you've got this web of intersections totaling in the dozens of intersections between these different trails and trail users. Go to the hospital trails. That's a mix of ski trails, CAMBA mountain bike trails, and snowshoe trails. Now I counted the intersections. I think I got them all. And it's 29 in that little section in the hospital trails. And they even have sections where the trail overlaps and then splits. So my point is, it's normal to have different types of non-motorized trails, have intersections. Everybody does fine. You sign it and nobody has a problem. So I think we've addressed CAMBA's concerns because they did today, they did put out a statement of support for the forest trail. They said it focuses on creating accessible family-friendly trails, offers a valuable complement to CAMBA's existing trail system, and helping more people of all ages and abilities enjoy our outdoor spaces. So hopefully we have addressed their concerns. Now, before we leave the map, I want you to look at the zoomed map, and at the top you see the Bodecker Trailhead. Now, that has actually become a very popular trailhead in the system because in the wintertime, that area of the skate trail and classic trail, there's about a 3-mile loop that you can do, and it's been called by the locals the Bodecker Flats. And it's been called the Bodecker Flats for a reason. It's the nicest, gentlest terrain that we have in anywhere on the Berkey Trail. And that's the area where we're going to be building the Sealy Forest Trail. So let's move on. So the question came up about terrain. And so this is where the trail would be located. And if you look at it, it's in the Sealy Hills area. But if we go to the next slide and zoom in, I apologize for the resolution. It was the best I could get from the county's website. So the green is the new proposed trail. And you can see that it weaves around and avoids all of the extreme terrain. So we actually have, you know, it's the most gentle terrain we can find in the area for sure. So if we go forward one. So there was a question about soil type, and the orange is actually a sandy loam soil, which is really good for building trails. You know, Sealy Pass mountain bike trail is built on that, and it holds up really well. Never has to be closed once it's opened in the summertime. It doesn't matter how much rain we get, it drains, does really well. Now, the first lower loop that you see is on a silt loam, which could be a problem. We know we're going to have to build raise the trail bed. We're going to have to build what are called sumps. It's just a big hole next to the trail to hold water. So when water drains off the trail, it has somewhere to go. And it's possible, we don't know yet, but it is possible we might have to bring material in if the soil doesn't hold up well enough. We don't know that yet, but we're prepared to do that if we have to. Next slide. So trail design, like we said, we're using existing logging roads as much as possible to minimize impact on the forest. And it'd be a 12-foot corridor and maintained at 8 feet as a dirt trail. And in terms of trail build, it'll be, we can go ahead, be a very cost-effective trail build because we're not building virgin trail. We're taking existing logging roads, upgrading them, making them usable year-round. Limited hand labor needed. And if we move forward, the maintenance plan is very sustainable. It allows us to get a machine in there with a Harley rake to maintain it as a dirt surface. So what you oftentimes see in wider dirt trails is it turns into a two-track. You've got a dirt trail here and a dirt trail here with the hump of grass in between. So this will be maintained as a dirt surface across the whole width of the trail because that's what people want. It makes it a more social environment. They can be side by side. And that's part of the reason we've made the trail as wide as we have. No, very limited hand labor needed. And then the maintenance would be done on a routine basis. We would just rotate around through the trail system. And then of course, do any spot maintenance that we need to do as it arises. So what are the benefits to the county? We actually printed out a sheet for you that just mentions some of the benefits, but I want to, I'll just talk about the notable ones from the outdoor rec plan. One of them was provide recreational opportunities for people with disabilities. And we're accomplishing this with an adaptive friendly trail. And meeting existing and future recreation needs of residents and visitors. So this trail fills a big gap in our current recreational trails. And we've got an aging population and people that are more casual in their outdoor activities. And there's a big group of those that are currently not being served. Maintain recreation areas while protecting our natural resources. And that's exactly what we're doing by using mainly existing logging corridors so we're not disrupting the forest as much. And then the final one was identify and preserve sites with historical significance. And I told you what we wanted to do with the Camp Smith Lake CCC camp. So to wrap it up, we want to create a trail for all to enjoy. Not limit it to a single activity, make it easy enough for a wide audience to connect with nature. Like I said, using the existing logging corridors, celebrate our history and drive economic activity and enhance the quality of life of our residents. So with that.
Thank you. Mr. Greg Peterson, is there anything you'd like to add, our department head forester?
Okay. Well, I guess just to start out, we've been working on this trail project for probably well over a year now. And I guess, I like the trail design. I like the idea. I think it's a great concept and I think the county could really benefit from it. But as I waded through this process and I put a lot of thought into this, I just don't like the location of where it's at. And, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the woods with the Maois. You know, we talked about a lot of these issues. The biggest one is the trail density in this area. You look at this map and we've got just about every rec trail jammed into about a 1,000 acre block. Which brings up user conflict concerns. And as you hear these comments tonight, we already have a lot of conflict between these groups. In the 20 years that I've been here, I've spent a lot of time trying to even out all of our uses on the forest. You know, everybody talks about miles and miles of trails, this trail, that trail. Well, my department is one that has to balance all this out and try to provide something for everybody. So, you know, in the 20 years, and we kind of got to a good point. You know, these user groups might not be best friends, but they tolerate one another. And with this proposal, it's really sparked a lot of tension, a lot of conflict from all the groups, silent sports and motorized. So that was kind of my biggest issue. Topography that came up, it's called the Sealy Hills for a reason. Some of that topography is very extreme. And if we're catering this to people with mobility issues, the slopes that we have are way too steep to accommodate this stuff. My third point was our timber sale impacts. With one more trail in this small block, this is going to make this 1,000 acre block of forest virtually unmanageable for us for timber sales. We have an obligation to do that. And throughout the 20 years I've been here, we've been very friendly for trail development. I've had contractors that will tell me every time that I'm too friendly for trail development. We developed the Berkey Classic Trail. We developed the single track trail. We have a hiking trail in Edgewater Township, the Southwest Sawyer County Hiking Trail. So when we have these opportunities, we have been very, very supportive of it. But this one just has and I really battled with this for a year. But this one kind of tips into the no category for me with those impacts. With more restrictions, we already have contractors that won't bid on sales with rec trails. It's too much to deal with. We get lower bid prices. And I'm not saying timber is the end all be all, but it's pretty high. It's pretty high for our program. The trail surface, this one really concerns me. When we first started this process, and we had pictures of it, we talked about there was going to be a gravel trail surface. And somewhere along the line, that kind of dropped out of this proposal. And I can tell you, those silt loams in the Sealy Hills are not very friendly for just a bare dirt trail. You know, I would imagine that people with mobility issues are going to struggle quite a bit on a silt loam trail. Just from experience working there, it just does not work. We did mention the ADA. A lot of the emails that I got, and we heard it tonight, we keep mentioning people with disabilities. And I'm all for that, but if we're gonna do that trail, we have to do that trail the right way. We would have to engineer it so we meet all those requirements, and I'm not opposed to that. But if we're gonna do that type of trail, this is a different animal altogether. And we have, it came up in one of our meetings, you know, we have 115,000 acres of county forest. And part of my job is to kind of spread things out a little bit. It's like we're just so laser focused on this block out of Double O, and we've got another 114,000 acres that we could look at for trail systems. A lot of them have a lot of flatter areas, and I'm sure we have communities that would love to have some sort of recreational development close to them. And I guess my last point that pushed me into the no was with one more trail in this area, we're really going to displace a lot of our traditional county forest users. And that particular user group doesn't really have a voice. You know, our hunting public, which has hunted county forest since we've had county forest, We get a lot of complaints in the hills because they don't have time for them anymore without interference from a lot of these rec trails. So it's a struggle. And lastly, and I hate I'm not a department head that ever really goes into staffing issues, but to be perfectly honest, we are maxed out right now, staff-wise, with administering timber sales, rec trails. We're at our capacity. One more trail system, one more user group. We just don't have the time to do it. Questions came up at committee about, what does forestry have to do with it once it's approved? And it's like, we have everything to do with it once it's approved. Because ultimately, it's a county forest trail. We have MOUs with other groups to maintain them. But if we have problems on the trail, that comes to me. It doesn't come to the user group. So, and that's about all I have.
Thank you. Question?
I have not heard who's paying for this trail.
It's not county paid. And I don't think we've got budget information, but the Sealy Trails Foundation is supposed to be
And it's not gravel, it's just, and what did you say, the type of,
silt loam. Silt loam.
silk loam?
Silt loam, yep.
What is that like?
It's a very fine soil that holds water. Gets real greasy, like after a rain today, it's gonna be really, really greasy, and like I said, the trail idea, I mean, it's great, and I think we could use it, but it's just not quite the right location.
What is your recommendation? You approve the idea of the trail, but you want it somewhere else?
Correct.
I make a motion to deny the Sealy Forest Trail proposal.
I'll second that.
Well, motion by Mr. Rickenheimer, second by Mr. Newman to deny the Sealy Forest Trail proposal. Discussion. Hearing no, yes.
Yeah, I just want to support that. I think what Director Peterson said, I mean, it does seem like a good idea. It just seems like the wrong place to do it. And maybe it's something that gets looked at down the road in another location.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And like Mr. Peterson said, we have hundreds of thousands of land, and there's other areas, other towns that would love to have something like this in their area, and bring some more funding in their areas, not just Hayward, Cable, Sealy. And that's where a lot of our stuff is going towards.
Okay.
I do think that the Johnson Center is a driving force for the reason for the placement of this trail, because the Johnson Center is the trailhead for the Canva trails, the Berkey Trail, and now this new trail. And I think that that's the reason they chose this placement.
Yeah, it's certainly been the epicenter, as anyone who's been here for any length of time knows, for outdoor activity in Sawyer County. So it's a logical place to put a trail like this. And again, a trail like this is certainly needed, and going to be more needed as our population ages. I certainly understand Mr. Peterson's concerns, and I have the highest respect for Mr. Peterson, because over the years prior to my retirement, I did a lot of work with a lot of county forests, not always directly, but indirectly, and Sawyer County has a very good history of managing its forests as well as can be done. They just do an outstanding job of managing the the health and productivity of the forest base here. And I can understand his concerns about compromising his ability to manage any part of the forest, especially up there in the Sealy Hills. And I've got some questions about, you know, the ability of Mr. Mao and his organization to do this project, but yet I'd certainly love to see the thing succeed. And I just think Mr. Peterson, you know, can probably, I think he underestimates his capacity to do all the great things he does. Yeah, I mean, he does it with such grace and skill that, you know, he's a very humble individual, but doggone it, I know he can do it. So I guess that's the reason I tend to be supportive of this particular project, so.
Sure, I just wanted to applaud Mr. Peterson because he normally doesn't speak up. And so for him to be so passionate enough to speak up, and I think that this is a good opportunity for us to put forward our faith in our leaders of our different agencies, whether it's Mr. Pino in Highway, Mr. Peterson in Forestry, Mr. Kozlowski in Zoning. I think we need to support our leadership, and if they're giving us a recommendation, they've gone to the schooling for it. Several of us have not. So I just want to applaud Mr. Peterson and support our agency leaders. And with that being said, I call the vote because we're talking a lot.
So we have a motion by Mr. Geimer, second by Mr. Newman to deny the trail. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Aye.
Yeah, of course he picked up. What about Mike?
Motion carries. Letter C, Samuel Z. Trust Trade Proposal.
I believe this was brought to Mr. Peterson as well. There's a property that, I'll just wait a second.
While we're waiting, can I get people to say comment? I need a count of how many were opposed. I couldn't catch how many. Who opposed? 1, 2, 3, 3 only. Anyone online? Oh, Marshall. Thank you.
Go with Mike and then Greg.
All right. Well, I want to echo that Mr. Peterson is amazing at his job, and kudos to him for putting so much time into that. So, you know, if you want to speak on this, I would turn it over to you as well.
Well, I'm good there.
All right,
I mean,
all right.
You guys are making me uncomfortable.
So anyhow, this is a piece of property that is right in the heart of one of our county forests. And what we own came to us in REM in 2001, and it is right on the edge of that. So the trade makes a lot of sense because it would be right in the heart of where we're doing our harvesting and forest management. As was mentioned in the notes from the meeting, we had appraisals done. We would actually get some money to boot, about $117,000. Makes a lot of sense. It's something Greg supports. I did do a little research on it because since it was in REM, you know, there's Act 207 where now we would have to return any proceeds above costs. This was long before that took effect. However, there is the litigation, Taylor versus Hennepin County, which goes, they're seeking to go all the way back to 1989. So I'm not saying there's no risk, but even with that, the swap of the property makes sense for the county.
I make a motion that we do the property swap. I listened to all Greg's discussion on it, and what it's basically doing is swapping that property, and he's paying us the difference in what the property values are.
I'd second that motion.
The motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Helwig to approve. Discussion. Let's see what Greg's got to say. He's here.
No, Mike covered it all. And I guess the one thing I want to make note is that the parcel we're trading from the county is not a county forest parcel. So it was held back for this purpose. So we don't have to go through all those hoops with the DNR to do this. So.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter D, timber sales approval. Isn't that just information?
It's just informational. I don't know if you want me to say anything on it. 22 tracts were offered, 20 sold, almost 1,500 acres, 1.4 plus million. Any questions on that?
That's good numbers. Thank you.
Yeah, great numbers.
Letter E, parcel tax ID number 4439.
This is informational at this time. This is a property owner who approached Mr. Laner, our treasurer, with a piece of property that he owns on Nelson Lake. He kind of divided up a few years back. The portion he would like to deed over to the county is underwater. So it's that little triangle that's in the upper right-hand corner of the water there, highlighted in the light. The reason he would like to do that, he's paying taxes on it, serves no purpose to him. He thought about letting it go to the county in REM. The issue with that would be if somebody bought that, the lake recedes, then we've got issues with Lakeshore. So it'd be much cleaner. Mr. Kozlowski supports this as well for the cleanliness of lake access if that ever happens, a receding of the water.
Okay. Information only. Anybody have any questions? It'll be coming back next month. Number 12, Health and Human Services Board. Ms. Wilson.
I
Thank you.
have no report from the Health and Human Services meeting because we did not have a quorum. But the Health and Human Services want to have an all-staff training day. And this is scheduled in early June and our next meeting would be after. So we need to approve an all-staff training day starting at 11 a.m. on June 4th.
So they want to close down Health and Human Services so they can have an all training, all the staff come to the training.
Yes.
Again, it was missed because they didn't have a quorum, which is very important to have your quorums. So that's why we put it on the full board's agenda tonight.
Chair, didn't they do this last year?
They've done it a couple of times.
Okay, I
Yes.
thought it was pretty continual, so it's not like something new that they're proposing. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the HHS All-Staff Training Day for the date proposed.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Van Etten to approve all staff training day and they close the facility down so they can take care of that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 13, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance Committee met on May 8th. Treasurer Laner provided a written report on in-REM proceedings and PILT received from towns. There was Finance Department report of the monthly sales taxes. Mr. Markin reviewed sales tax revenue for April, budget performance reports for 24 and 25, and April CIP purchases, and gave us a 2026 budget timeline and the parameters for the 26 budget. Department financial updates included Circuit Court. Mr. Markin reviewed 2024 financials and assessed April 25 revenue and expense for Circuit Court. On Criminal Justice, reviewed the 24 financials and assessed April 25 revenue and expense for Criminal Justice. On Family Court, reviewed the 24 financials and assessed April 25 revenues and expenses for Family Court. District Attorney reviewed the 24 financials and assessed the 25 revenue and expenses for District Attorney. Investment review and update, March investment report was provided. Interest rates are holding above 4%. The Franson $3 million CD has matured and 3 options to reinvest it were compared based on interest rates. Mr. Markin recommended Ampersand with the current highest interest rate. A motion was made to approve that and it carried. Correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. Mr. Markran shared a housing report from WGFO conference he attended. New construction costs have increased 84% since 2020, contributing to affordable housing shortages. Future agenda items will include potential impacts of Act 10 changes, public safety radio and public safety radio network financing. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Any questions for him? Hearing none. Number 14, Economic Development, UW Extension Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That group met on May 5th. University of Wisconsin Extension Department report. Ms. Bellatrue submitted a quarterly report to the committee. Ms. Gregorian reported on housing survey and community needs assessment for work being done with municipalities. A 2 to 3 year wrap-up report is forthcoming. Ms. Nucky updated the committee on the youth development work being done to set up the Youth in County Government project. She recommended a county government day to create interest with the schools and aiming for 2026 implementation of the program. Ms. Simon of the Hayward Lakes and Visitors Convention Bureau gave us a report, presented an update on marketing. More users are spending longer times on the websites and YouTube viewing rates are high. The current campaign includes spring fishing, ATV trails, camping, and other outdoor recreational activities to bring tourism to Sawyer County. Sheldon Johnson from the Northwest Regional Planning Commission report spoke to the committee about 3 rounds of BEAD funding for broadband internet projects. Round 1 is complete. The PSC granted NWRPC a 6-month extension to see what developments in rounds 2 and 3 of the funding. Round 3 allows funding for non-fiber projects. The NWRPC annual meeting will be held at Flat Creek Lodge on June 25th at 9:30 a.m. Mr. Lamoro gave us a report, spoke on from the Economic Development Corporation report on the Joint Finance Committee and marketing projects in progress. 5 new businesses are being highlighted. The Live, Work, and Play in Sawyer County video is being edited. The business incubator has received inquiries about available cash is an obstacle for startups. The EDC still needs a permanent location. Consulting work continues, and there will be a small business academy offered at Flat Creek on May 9th. Ms. LaRue gave trail reports in a written form. All trails open May 1st except for FRSF trails, which will be opening May 15th. Non-motorized, Mr. Duffy shared a report from Ben Pop. 2,000 have registered for the 2026 Berkey already. Ticket sales are underway for a concert on opening night of the Lumberjack World Championship Games. Historical Society, Mr. Ferguson updated the committee on an arrowhead display and new gangster exhibiting coming soon. A photographer took photos of historical local items from the museum to create a wallpaper for use in the new lumber exchange building being built on Main Street. He shared interesting history on El Capone and the Hideout. Correspondence reports from conferences. Mr. Markran reported on the topic of TIFs and affordable housing statistics discussed in recent conference. He shared an illustrative chart showing the increase in building costs has almost doubled since 2020. And Mr. Lamoro confirmed the affordable housing is the #1 challenge locally and childcare is second. Future agenda items will be to move up the Historical Society report in the agenda. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Number 15, County Administrator's report, intern.
All right, well, thank you. I do just want to thank all of the department heads and the committee chairs and all the board members who have made a little transition between Andy and me easier. And I just want to echo again that we have some amazing department heads who are very skilled at their work and very knowledgeable in what they're doing, and that just makes everything easier. I have been working on the financing for the radio communications upgrade. That will be coming for a resolution next month to the board, and then the following month we will actually approve the bids for that. Again, that's the $2.825 million for that project to improve our communication system. I have been meeting with department heads prior to committee meetings to just kind of go over everything and make sure we've got things covered and that I'm up to date on the information that they'll be discussing, and that's been going very well. I've gone out and visited the airport and worked with Derek Little on that. We had the initial meeting for the resurfacing of the runway Tuesday. That project's going very well. They actually finished tearing up the old asphalt last Friday, I believe. They did it so fast, in fact, that now there's gonna be a delay in laying the new asphalt because they don't have the plant set up yet. But it is still scheduled to finish on time and everything's going well. While I was there, we looked at some deferred maintenance projects that we've kind of been putting off. Part of the runway project is we are able to sell the scrap pavement and get some return, which will go a long ways towards knocking out some of those deferred maintenance projects. Met with John Frummel after his committee meeting. I noticed that he said he was struggling getting some data ready. I'm pretty good at spreadsheets, so I went over and met with him and offered to help and put some stuff together for him. He said his committee report takes about 3 days to put together. And one of the problems is when I was over there, we couldn't even get logged into the system. So it's kind of an older system that they use for the runs. And so we'll work on that. But he was able to give me enough of the raw data, and I think it'll be pretty easy to organize it how he reports on it. So that'll help him a lot. Gearing up for budget season, that's right around the corner. Seems like we just got through it, but we're here again. And yesterday I completed the HHS budget model that I built last year. They've had some turnover in their department, so last 2 years have been helping them a lot get their budget together and kind of simplifying it down to one spreadsheet or one book with many tabs instead of a lot of different spreadsheets. So that simplified the process a little. Same with highway, be helping them soon. I've got their model updated already. So John and I've met once already, preliminary, and we'll keep meeting until we get that settled and proposed. And that's all I've got for an update. And then the other thing you'll see in front of you then is a resolution to add defendants to the opioid litigation. This is another round of litigation that was initiated last fall. This is to pharmacies, and this came directly from legal. Our legal representation is representing 66 other counties in this suit, so 67 out of 72. And so it's their recommendation that this be put forth as a resolution, adding all of those other defendants in there.
So letter A is resolution to add defendants to the opioid litigations.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Mr. Evans, second by Mr. Haney to approve the resolution. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter B, Administrative Committee Report. So the Administrative Committee Report is the biggest thing right now is the administration. We have selected 3 candidates. We as a committee have selected 3 candidates, and we have set up for on Monday, May 19th, which is coming Monday at 4 p.m. to have what's called a meet and greet. So the candidates will be here, and we ask the department heads and employees to come in and communicate with them, and so they can get to know who they are a little bit. And then interviews will be set up on the 20th, which is Tuesday morning, and we're starting at 9 o'clock. We'll interview our 3 candidates. If we determine and have success approving a single candidate and we work out details, we have to have a special county board meeting fairly soon after that, so we can lock that candidate in before they start looking for another job somewhere in the county. For us to have a special county board meeting, Liz will have to send out a notice, and we have to have 7, I believe, respond positively that we need a special meeting, and then we can have a special meeting. Right now, I'm thinking about Thursday, the 22nd. Don't know if it'll happen that fast or not, or it might be the following Tuesday, tentatively. Questions, concerns, thoughts? That's what we were advised. Okay. 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 You know, we'll have to read the rule before we know,
Okay.
but thank you. It could be. Questions, concerns? Yes.
No, that date on the 22nd, what time would that be?
If we go on the 22nd, it'd be 6:30 PM.
PM. Thank you.
Mr. Rickhammer.
I might be able to make 6:30 PM.
But that's determined on whether we settle on a candidate and we can get everything worked out prior. Okay?
Mr. Chair, where's the meet and read at? Yeah.
Okay. Number 16, Board Appointment Committee Report updates. Mr. Buckles.
I have a Nemacolin Transit update. April 2025 ridership was 4,624. They are now going to put Narcan on the buses, or Narcan, whatever you want to call it. Our staff training day on Friday, April 25th was great. Transit Mutual, our insurance company, completed 8 drivers' ride checks. All their drivers got very good reports. They will be closed for services on Monday, May 26th. So the staff is able to spend the Memorial Day holiday with the families. We have the notice of the closing of our website or our Facebook page and have displayed flyers on our buses. We now have our 6 new buses in service, and we are putting 5 of the buses we have retired up for public auction as soon as DOT has approved them for disposal, released for the title, and that ends that report. And Mr. Chairman, and what Stacy and was talking about, Nemacolin Transit buses for the county employees or the county supervisors, I will get a hold of the transit manager, and I'm sure that would be okay. I'll let Ron know and Mike know on what they say, or have them contact Mike too. So, and then Saturday, May 17th, there's a Northern Waters Library System meeting in Ashland, and I will be there to attend that in person.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yes.
Just to clarify on the agenda for the administration, I met with the American Legion post 218. There's no 219, it's just post 218. I just don't want them to get upset. Yep, thank you. 218, yep.
Steve.
Yeah, just a couple things. At the joint finance committee meeting at the high school a couple weeks ago, Skylar, our SEP's executive director, gave a presentation there in favor of finding funding for SEP, because with the indicated cuts in federal funding, their future is definitely in jeopardy. And Indian Head Community Action Agency, we are still working on the community needs assessment for the 6 counties Indian Head Community Action Agency serves. And next Monday, we do have an executive committee meeting for that organization.
Anybody else? Thank you. Just to reiterate what our commissioner's talking about, if board members want to go on a tour with him, call him, and if we have enough people, we'll try to set up a time and date, and then we'll get it noticed in the paper so he can educate us about our roads and what we have out there. Okay? Anything else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you for your valuable time.